Hey, and welcome to the Weed Out, where we weed out the nonsense and talk about the bullshit in our backyard. I'm Spencer Fox Peterson, as always, with my partner.
Hi everyone, I'm Joanna May Booty.
Hey, Joanna, how you doing today?
Doing good, bud. How are you?
Fucking great, man. It's the day after we're recording the day after Memorial Day, so we're May 30th. This will probably be released later in the week. But we were blessed with wonderful weather this weekend. Hopefully, you got to spend it with people you care about. Memorial Day is a concept and a topic. It's complicated. Fun fact: started by Black Americans post Civil War. So this is actually a Black holiday in remembrance of the people that fought to, gave up their lives to end certain institutions in this country. Uh, so, fun fact: I learned that this week. I was today 80 years old. Another thing, Black American brothers and sisters have brought with us, and it's been co-opted by the white devil. Anyways, that's my little rant about Memorial Day. It's good to have Joanna here. We're welcoming back some organizers from the Barnes and Noble Hadley,
Woo woo!
who recently voted and overwhelmingly voted yes to the union. We have read a bunch of articles by different publications. Our favorite one, Mass Live, was all over it. We have our editorial reasons why we think they were all over it. They're not all over it for the same reasons Joanne and I are. We are so happy to have them back on to share their story, to hopefully inspire y'all listening at home, or just hey, a win. A win is a win, right, Joanna?
Exactly.
So yeah, without further ado, let's welcome everybody back. How you doing today?
Hello, hello. It's so great to be back on. Thank you for allowing us to have more of your airtime and talking about this type of stuff.
And if you could just remind the audience, introduce yourselves.
I am Izzie. I'm a barista at Barnes and Noble Hadley.
And my name is Thalia, and I primarily work in receiving at Barnes & Noble Hadley.
Well, thank you so much for coming back on. We're short a person than last time, but there's multiple people that can talk on this, and we're just glad that you guys are back here with such good news. So thank you.
And Izzie and I can talk each other's ears off, so have no fear. You will not have a problem shutting us up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll just set the microphone and let you go.
Potentially, if that's what needs happening, we can do it.
All right. So I guess we'll get into it. Just give us the raw and dirty, the short and skinny on what happened recently.
Well, we are now unionized at Barnes and Noble Hadley.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We had our vote on the 25th, and we voted unanimously to unionize the store, which is awesome. The outcome we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Unanimous was like a little cherry on top.
Yes.
Yeah, that is super fantastic. And so besides any other Barnes and Noble, and I just want to remind the audience, you can go back to the first episode you were on to hear about the process of starting this, but are you the first Barnes and Noble to vote unanimously in the country, or were you the second? Because I know that one was like a flagship.
Yes, this is kind of not a point of contention at all, but just like things that we are making sure to clear up with any sort of publications that we're working with, because we have been in brief contact and congratulations with the other stores that are seeking to unionize. And so the first store to unionize was the Rutgers store in New Jersey through Rutgers College, but they are through a different company than we are. There's like Barnes Noble College, and then there's Barnes Noble Inc.
Yeah, Barnes Noble Education.
Yeah, education. Yes, that's what it is. So they were the first to also unanimously vote to unionize through Barnes Noble Education, and we are the first through Barnes Noble Incorporated, pure retail store. So we both have feathers in our caps of firsts, but we were the second to unanimously vote
Like
under the umbrella.
Yeah,
under the umbrella. We just want to be making sure to give them their props and their congratulations, because they put in just as much work as we did and are going through just as much shit as we are. So, and we just want to make sure that they're getting their time in the sun as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for explaining it that way. That was Awesome. And I would also like to give them props. So shout out to BNN Records. Like you said, a unanimous vote. So if you want to explain that to the audience, so what does it mean now that you put a unanimous vote? I can let them know means everyone voted yes. But what does that mean specifically for this vote and your store and the union?
Well, it definitely means that we all wanted it. So the unanimous vote is out of the people who voted,
Yes.
not out of everyone who's eligible to vote. So out of all the people that came in that day to vote, every single person voted yes. I think there were people that weren't working and maybe decided to abstain from the vote that didn't. But out of us who did take the time to come in on our days off and take the time while we were working to go vote, we all wanted this to happen. So I think it just shows that we wanted it a lot. We all wanted it a lot. We wanted it more.
It wasn't this as the team that was organizing, considering we had majority of the staff actively coming to meetings and things of that nature. We knew in our heart of hearts that this was going to happen, that we were going to get a resounding yes vote, like it was going to pass. Like Iz said, it was very much a cherry on top that it was in fact unanimous, and just like a little extra sweetener in there.
Excited to write the Instagram caption.
Yeah.
I saved the draft of the Instagram post before it went out, and I had two options. It was either going to be like over 90% yes, or it was going to be unanimous. And I was like, it better be unanimous. I'm going to be so sad if I have to put over 90%, but it was unanimous, so I got to put unanimous.
It's so much more delicious of the word.
Yeah.
Like a lot of exclamation points in there, like deservedly. We were just all over the moon. When it comes to organizing, a unanimous vote sounds very like fancy and wonderful, and it is. However, when it comes to organizing, and for any other people out there who are like thinking about organizing or like considering it, mulling it over, pondering all of those similar verbiage, a unanimous vote could just be two people. And if it's two people in your workplace who take the time to come in and vote, you still have a unanimous resounding yes. So it's getting through to people taking the time and the effort and the relation to the workplace and to your coworkers, being able to get through to them, like, and rallying the support for people to come in. But even if you don't, and it's just a few of you who care enough to put pen to paper, you can still get a unanimous vote. It was fantastic in our case. I believe we had 12 people at the store who voted out of an already small staff. We're severely understaffed right now, but it was lovely to see that every single one of us did check that little box.
It was especially nice because I can tell you for a fact right now, 12 people were not working.
No,
that day.
we had
Like 5 people were working.
here from like the beginning, and who are in wonderful support, who took time out of their day, no matter how far away in the valley they live, to drive over and just walk into a little booth for a couple seconds for hopefully the betterment of working for Barnes and Noble in general, and not just this branch, but hopefully in general.
Definitely. So, and not to say that the people that couldn't come in or didn't come in would do anything wrong, but how many people could have voted?
15?
Yes, I believe it was 15 that were eligible to vote.
Okay, so you had a good turnout for voting.
Oh yes, absolutely. We did have
Someone was like in California. And
Yep.
even...
We did have some people. We had a few organizers who had other opportunities and who unfortunately had to leave the job before the vote, but were still in full support and were getting like updates through the group chat. And then we did have some organizers who had other obligations and they were out of state for. And then we just had some people in the store who didn't vote, but it was just like a plum that every single person who did in fact come in to vote, we did get that unanimous vote.
But I mean, that is fantastic. Like you said, it's a delicious word when you're talking about something like unionizing. And I guess, can we let the audience know, like, so now that you have a unanimous vote, you have a vote to form a union. What are the next steps? Because it's not like, okay, now you just have a union, right?
Now is the time where we go into negotiations with the company. We have just established like a clear intent to Barnes and Noble that this is not just, it's not a phase, mom. Like this is like in accuracy, and we have momentum. We're trying to keep that momentum with letting them know some of the things that we've been having trouble with in the store. I know that in our letter, we talked a lot about inaccessibility in the store, understaffing, pay and hours. And so those are some of the things that we're going to actively be bringing to their attention in the process of negotiations. Hopefully soon. It's kind of up to legality as to like the timeline for it to happen. I know that there's a couple REI stores that have been waiting years and years to get their contract with like set away, and I know that Trader Joe's is in the final stages of negotiations after winning their election about a year ago. It's going to take a while, but right now this is like when we go to the drawing board with the company, make up that document that hopefully works for both of us.
Yeah, we're gonna assemble our little crew of negotiators, figure out who wants to go, talk with the union about
what we need to talk about, and then go do it. I don't know how long it usually takes to get a first meeting, but we'll see.
I'm in a union currently, so I'm glad that you let the audience know, like, it does take so long. Even like we look at Trader Joe's and from Hadley, and they're just getting to their final stages of negotiation. So you are organizers, and then like you said, you'll have to assemble this team. Will you work with your union reps then, and they'll like inform you about like how many people you will want to like have maybe develop a contract? And then you will go, like you said, back and forth when you're able to get the date potentially with Barnes and Noble's reps, whoever they choose. I'm just trying to like break it down. Is that kind of how it will go down, like a little bit, maybe?
From what I understand, like we assemble our crew and they assemble their crew, and then between the higher up, they determine when they'll happen.
Very much like we're going to a rumble, like West Side Story style. Like we have our group of people. Recently we did kind of take like a little poll of people who are actively organizing in the store as to who would maybe want to be involved in negotiations.
I don't think there's a limit. I
No,
think we can
there
have
isn't.
as many people go as we want.
And it was pretty much all of us that want to be able to sit down at the table and put our 2 cents in. I don't know if that will be intimidating to the company or not, but you know,
it is dress up.
Yeah, yeah.
I actually think it will be helpful too, just from the amount of work, like many hands.
Yeah, make light work. And we all have different like strengths when it comes to working in the company and different areas of expertise. So being able to like cover all ground with that, and with little things that like just affect your niche in the store, still want to put those down and still want to make those heard and still want to like make their working environment better, no matter who it is and how small their role at the company is. And no matter, we have been talking about how the people who are organizing at the store right now might not be at the store when we get to reap the benefits of all of this hard work. But, you know, just knowing that we're putting in the work now for like people who start working at the Barnes and Noble like I did, like in college, and still just stay there because I work with fantastic people, like that maybe they can have a less shitty time than I did. And that's kind of like what I'm like pushing for, is, you know, the as corny as it is, like the better future of the working conditions.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's corny anyway. It's almost like paying it forward. And I'm so glad you asked. You said that, because I was going to ask you, like, oh, like what if you know, if it does take a long time, it's hard because like that's a way I feel like they want to maybe stop the momentum by slowing things down. You know.
Oh yeah, that's
like, you know, that's a tactic. So
yeah.
I think it's great that for both of you, and I'm sure everyone involved in this process, since it's unanimous, and I'm only just guessing, but I would assume if you would stick with it here, but you would also bring these values and ideals to any new position, so it does spread. That's the idea where, you know, like workers' rights, why it's important that you may want to unionize, like you said, and I don't think it's corny to want things to be better for people coming up after us. I think it's the mentality of wanting people to struggle like we did. And I'm with you. I'm with you completely. I love that that's your mentality there.
And as the son of an engineer who built buildings, it's like building any structure. You gotta lay down the sand, and you gotta tamp everything down, and then you do the concrete. But you don't do any of that without a bigger plan. You don't just go on the seat of your pants either, knowing, oh, we start with the basement. No, you have to have a rough idea of how you're going to build it, and then
we're not starting with the flying buttresses. Like, we're very much foundational right now.
And not just you, but this is just for people listening at home. Like, this is just winning a vote isn't that's not the finish line. That's just acknowledging there's a race.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very much true. We're just drawing the starting line, being able to draw the starting line.
You've forced the company to recognize your legitimacy, and that's just recognizing, okay, we're in competition or we're in discussion with you. You're a real entity. They have to acknowledge your existence. And it's interesting that our trans fellow neighbors and people that are not cis white people or just cis people, how there's an attack on that, and there's also an attack on unions. You know what I mean? The struggles seem really parallel, and it's not about just visibility. It's about the actual results, and that takes a long time to build there.
It's the challenging of the status quo, or the so-called status quo that everybody has been functioning on. And when in actuality, trans people exist and have existed for years and years and years and years, and acknowledging them and having them have a voice and a place in society is kind of what we've all been working towards. And people are upset because that's not what it has been in the past. And it's the same with union work, where it's like companies have been able to take advantage of the working man day in and day out, and we just take what we can get. And now that we're actually standing up for something and asking for a seat at the table, they also don't like that, because that's not how it has been. So they're very, very different problems, but at the same time, it's just
We're all fighting white men.
Yeah, we're all that. Yeah, truly, we're all fighting the white man, the white cis man. But we're just all trying to make a better, more understanding place, equity for each other. That's what everybody really, really wants at the end of the day.
As the representative of cis white men, I fucking hate it. I'm really sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
No,
Don't be sorry.
No, I'm not like reactionary here. I'm just like, it's just like, it's actually a drain on like my existence too. That's what pisses me off about it. It's a drain on all white men. Ugh, it's not sound like a men's rights guy, because I'm not. I don't think that exists. But
That doesn't
you know,
exist.
it's like it
No,
hurts. It hurts.
doesn't
Like, it's frustrating for the ones of us that have been unfortunately shepherded to the realization. Like, I've had many people in my life challenge me in a good way, but I also, I've been fortunate to be around different opinions and appreciate books and history, and and been in environments where that was encouraged. And I'm fortunate, and I was always an inquisitive person. But it's great that people selling books are one of the people leading the charge. And because you can look back at times of other organizing, because before this it was lords, right? And for that it was whatever, and it's always been the Roman Catholic Church for the last 2,000 years. Like, the monster's the same, it's just fucking fractures and rebrands. And we can look to our past, but it's not dogma. And then we can put it in action now. And sometimes modern times call for modern solutions. How do you organize the 1776 white man revolution against the bigger white man?
Yeah.
Hey, how would you do that today? Yeah, it wouldn't work the same way. So while it's good to look back and recognize that we have organized before, so appreciating the past, modernizing and using it in the current, and it's a long journey. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It is a very long journey. And that's why I was asking those follow-up questions, because I want the audience to know how much work it is literally organizing. As much as any, I think it's activism for yourself and the people you work with.
Yeah, it's definitely a marathon. Endurance is key in this, and making sure to take moments of levity and take moments of the parts of the workplace that you actually enjoy, the people you work with, taking those and internalizing those and keeping those like in your pocket, because you can't stay mad because this is going to be a long process. You have to keep that anger and let it simmer, but you can't let it burn you out. It'll wreck you in this process because it's so long and so endurance based.
Well, how did you celebrate after you won? Did you all do something together?
we got bubble tea with the people at the store that were there after the vote. And then this recent past meeting that we had a wonderful time. People brought pizza and snacks and just kind of sat and did a mass dump on how we were feeling and just all of the of pulling for this for the past however long.
Yes.
Yeah, because we want people to know that even though it's hard and it's long, there are joyful parts too.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. I don't think we ever would have come as close as a staff without like going through this struggle together. Like it's been so great to like feel closer to your coworkers and
kind of evolve into friends outside of work, even while you're doing work to improve your work.
Yeah, it's a job on top of another job. It's not easy.
have our meetings and we're all on different committees and working with each other, and then we also want to find time to be like, let's go do something social. Like actually on
the day of our vote, me or my pal Redacted, we spent the day like trying to think of fun things to do with everybody while we waited for the vote time to come around. We got breakfast with some of the closers who were not going to be able to have boba after the vote. Like our closing pals, we went and got breakfast together and then did social things to make the day like a fun, like hang out with your coworkers day.
That's like an important part about it. Like you said, otherwise it can be, you don't want to get like burnt out. You want to keep rolling.
It's a lot of work and it's very, very hard, but there are moments where it doesn't feel like that just because you're doing it with some really fucking cool people. And we all got super close. And that's I kind of think for me personally, it was one of the things buoying me through all of this, getting to do it with the people that I get to do it with.
I never thought I'd be hanging out on her couch doing a podcast.
That's very true.
I love it. You guys, the energy, like I said, the energy is just so great and contagious. And I've been so excited to like, I know Spence has too, but I'm sure some listeners have, just because it's infectious and contagious to hear how you really want others to like understand. So like I even saw on social media, and so I follow you avidly now.
I know we see you commenting on things, and it's so wonderful. We're like, oh, thanks, Juliana. There's Lita. It's lovely.
Well, I love that you let people know that if they're interested in organizing, that they can reach out to you to get information on how to do that.
Oh gosh, yeah.
There's also, we had to switch over and there's a national page now
that we have multiple Barnes and Nobles in the mix, because I'm sure you guys heard that Park Slope Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
Actually had public on the day of our vote.
Oh gosh, it must have been a wonderful day at Barnes and Noble HR. Awful. 1-2 punch.
So the national account, just to like put it out right now, it's Barnes and Noble Union. They have a specific email now that Barnes and Noble workers who are interested in organizing their workplace, they have a specific email that you can reach out to figure that out, which is awesome.
Modern technology, innovation that excites. You just have to type out a little email and you too can be union.
And I don't think this is a secret, but they are working on a website. So they will have a nice little national union website, which will be awesome.
When you mentioned a bad day at headquarters, all I could think is, here at the Weed Out, it's a good time to do our like faux advertisement. So little plug real quick. We're sponsored by Haterade. Quench your thirst on Haterade, man.
No, you should never chug Haterade.
No,
you
with
really.
the C-suite, there is no tears. They're mostly cash and checks. So when they have some tears, hopefully those checks get damp. Anyways, yeah, no, we at the Weed Out do not give a fuck. C-suite is sad. I'm sure these lovely people that are negotiating with you feel empathy for you. I don't. Negotiations go well and you guys all meet in the middle somewhere that works for everybody, because you want a happy workforce, right? I don't think that you're sad, Captain CEO, but good fucking luck. And I'm glad you're negotiating with them. I trust you'll make it a fun process.
We hope so. We're hoping to bring the cows out to New York, because we didn't
strap a cow to the top of my Prius on the way down.
They'll hear us coming because they'll smell it. Yeah.
There you go.
We were going to have a visit from the CEO of the company, but it just ended up being a Teams meeting. Sorry, I have chickens in my backyard. So another plug for Western Mass.
Yeah.
I have chickens in the backyard and they are very vocal, so you might hear those.
I have the same from 2 houses, so no worries. 2 houses.
I forget what I was talking about. I completely derailed by chicken. Oh yes, the Zoom call. He offered to have us be able to like set up Teams meetings throughout the day because no one came to his meeting. We have jobs to do. Like we're severely understaffed at the store. We have a company to run on minimal manpower, or a branch to run on minimal manpower. But then he sent us a note that was on the table the next day about how like, oh, couldn't make it out. Y'all are just so far. So hoping to bring far right back to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that happens too. I guess, how can people support you now? Should we just keep following on social media to see updates?
We will call upon you when we need you, similar to when we posted the rally flyer for our rally that we had.
Which was
Same
fantastic. If
Oh,
anybody
yeah.
listening came to the rally or was part of the rally, it was so wonderful to see everybody out and in support. We felt so loved and so appreciated. It was absolutely wonderful.
And thank you to the people who came in the day after our vote to congratulate us. I had a couple folk come in from like River Valley Co-op and just congratulating us, which was so very sweet of them. And it was very nice to like be at work and have people come up and be like, I don't order anything. I just want to let you know. Congratulations.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, thank God.
And that is another way that the community can support us, because it is lovely and boisterous and to hear how much like the community supports our union efforts, and it is a slight dig when management overhears. So that's not too bad either. So
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Especially for me and Spence. We like to antagonize.
oh yeah.
We could show up with like, let them have this union and like t-shirts on.
Yeah.
They'd like that probably.
fully support. We did we also, local plug, we did make t-shirts for our rally for the people who organizers. And we did use Sunrays Printing, which is in Hadley. So and they were so kind, so fast, and did such a fantastic job. So if anybody needs any union t-shirts or t-shirts at all, definitely head over to Sunrays because they're fantastic.
And for legal reasons, for posterity, we don't like to antagonize. We like to match energy. We don't have the fire hose of the CNN, Mass Live, Boston Globe. We just have a little rinky-dink podcast floating around in the sea with a bunch of other little wonderful local journalists like the Shoestring. And good time to. This is actually kind of
Dusty.
Yeah, we love.
Dusty
Shout out to Dusty at the Shoestring. We love you.
He's been with us since the beginning.
Yeah.
Had a nice little phone call with him at the boba shop.
Yeah.
It was great.
The other thing I'd like to tie in, Mike Crawford out in Eastern Mass, who runs a podcast called The Young Jerks, he's been really digging into the issues with the workers' rights issue and issues in the cannabis industry. And doing a series of whistleblowers from True Leaf, which is based out of Florida, but they have a facility in Holyoke where
Yes,
Lauren
they do.
passed away, unsafe work conditions. And
oh my gosh, I didn't know about that.
So I recommend anybody listening look more into that. We've talked about it on previous podcasts. It's a really unfortunate issue. It's happened right in my backyard, and it's in a part of town too, where it's been exploited historically. It's the same old shit, and it's really frustrating, and nobody gives a shit. But Mike Crawford, the Young Jerks, anybody's listening, he has lots of information. You can find him on Twitter, you guys, if you want to check it out. And then there's a lot of stuff in the news, but it's Mass Live has their spin on it, as I'm sure. You mentioned Dusty being great. Actually, I think Shoestring definitely did something on it, right, Joanna?
After seeing Mike's, I think Dusty may have, and they may have. It actually was part with the Nation, if I'm not wrong.
Anyways, so there's workers' rights issue all up and down Western Mass. So any of our friends listening in Eastern Mass, don't forget about us. We get forgotten about in the State House.
We're so far from Boston. We're so far from New York City.
So unimportant,
That's okay. I'm originally from Boston, and now I'm out here. So there you go.
Western Mass is just southern Vermont.
That's true. That is very true.
Or Eastern New York, because I used to live in Pittsfield, and we'd always say that.
As a Quincy kid, they literally think of Western Mass, where like I tell them I live in a little city, and they like don't believe it. They think I live in fucking Narnia.
Yeah.
Like over the hills and far away.
Yeah, I joke and I call it Cowtown
because you drive by farm. Like on my way to work, because I live up in Greenfield. On my way to work, I'm like, oh, the second cow farm, almost there.
You count your mileage in cow farms.
Yep.
Yeah, because there are cities, Spencer's right, but we have a lot of the rural stuff too.
You get a good cross section of.
Well, it's like people. You pass the Walmart to get right down to the cow farm that also sells ice cream, like.
Yeah, flavors.
Yeah.
Love your stuff.
Shout out to Flavors.
So I want to throw a quick dig at Mass Live too while we're here, because they obviously covered you. I didn't love their coverage. They made it seem like Hadley, Massachusetts is some sort of communist mecca. like
Yeah,
all
I
this
saw that.
organizing's happening in Hadley, and it was like, you know, Trader Joe's, you guys, and a couple other smaller things, and it's like, well, yeah, you know, when there's a contingency of people that where education and critical thinking is valued, this is what happened. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know if it's a communist because it's fucking Hadley mass.
No, it's just not leading by support or leading by example or following by example. You know what I mean.
Well, and I think Western Mass, like we are a worker community. Like there's not a ton of people who are like, there are wealthy homeowners and there are wealthy people that like may have a second home here. And of course, there are wealthy people that live here too. But there are a lot of, I think, just people who are your everyday working class person who understands exploitation. And Spencer's right. There are also 5 colleges in this area. And even through
Yes.
and through
Mhm.
so that does potentially help. And like, you know, there are colleges in the Berkshires, so we have even more. And there's community college in Greenfield. So we have all of these different working class meets. We get some information. We get to see how we can support each other. And I think that gives us also like a unique, just like the way the town you pass the Walmart to go to the cow farm with the ice cream. I think it is in a way as like it is like in many parts of America we are the same. There's a uniqueness here.
Yeah. Oh, we were talking about that at one of our meetings. Our rep was like, "We're one of the only like liberal rural farming communities, because that's like a rarity."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like he talks to people about like the vibe out here in Western Mass, and just like the like consensus amongst the people out here, and people don't believe him, and then they come out here. It's like, oh, this place does exist. It's like
Gay farmers.
the coalition of queer farming community. It's yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it.
It's a beautiful
Beautiful thing. We're having a great time. Chickens in my backyard.
Exactly. So before we get too off topic, how is there anything that you should tell us before we wrap up our celebratory chat after your big vote?
Well, nothing. There are woohoos all around. We're just having a moment of woohoo and just kind of lavishing in the wind for now, because it has been such like a process up to this point. We just want to reiterate for anybody listening and on our social media that we did this because of the examples that we had out here in Western Mass. Like seeing it being done is the kind of the seed or the genesis of us being able to be like, hey, we can do this. And so if you work for Barnes Noble, if you work for, I don't know, just a regular old job that you're feeling really shitty at, it seems very big-headed, but like it would be beautiful to be somebody else's seed or somebody else's genesis, because we have a small staff that are overworked and so tired, and we live out in the boonies of Western Mass, but you know, like we're making New York shaking their boots. There's a pride in that.
And like to reiterate like what I said to Dusty when I talked to him on the phone after we had won, like this could be you. This could very easily be you. You could be celebrating your victory.
Yes.
For your unanimous union yes vote.
Bubble tea for everyone.
Yes.
The word.
Everyone gets a bubble tea.
Yes, and you get a bubble tea, and you get a bubble tea, and a living wage, and also a bubble tea. Like
you can
I
afford
love
your
that.
bubble tea easier now.
Exactly. Exactly. Not just bubble tea. We're not saying we want a pizza party with bubble tea. We want a union.
Yes,
yes.
And then we'll get it.
yes, the bubble tea is just a part.
I love that you say you can do it, because you said that in the first episode where you came on with Lainey.
Mhm.
All of you said everyone like you could do this, anyone else can do this. So that's why I did want the audience to know, if you hear this and you're working somewhere, reach out
Yes.
to either you and you'll direct them, or the Barnes and Noble Union
Yep.
national page.
Yes, and this is just another stop on the way of we're doing this, and we're just a bunch of weirdos who love books, and that's it. But now we've done all this work, and it's finally starting to pay off, which is a beautiful thing.
We are so happy for you and with you in solidarity. And I won't speak for Spencer. He can say what he has to say, but I cannot wait to, like, I've been watching with Trader Joe's and any other local union lady Killigrew. It's very exciting. So like
Yes.
thank you just in general, because it's so much work, but for setting the example, like you said, and for doing all the work and for being such a joy. I would love to work with you guys. I'm just saying, you sound so fun.
We have a little family out in Hadley. People are like, Hadley does its own thing. It's like, yeah, we do, suck it. Like, we're having a great time out here.
I just love that for you all. And it's like I said, it's contagious. And I hope the community keeps supporting you. And of course, there will be hurdles, but jump them with joy.
Oh yeah,
That we will.
That we will. Thank you guys for having us back on again. It was wonderful to be able to catch up and talk.
Yes, and we're definitely gonna invite you back on at the next juncture, because like we were talking about earlier, this is an ongoing, this process goes on ad infinitum. I butchered that word. I'm not gonna try it again. And that, you know, so we want to stick with your story and stick with it, because we want to inspire others, and we also want to give people hope. And the reality is, we need y'all to have as much, like I said earlier, like I wasn't joking, they have a fire hose to put out their message, and we need to get this message out. We need to build decentralized networks where people could get their stories out, because like we were talking about with Western Mass, yes, it's Massachusetts, yes, it's Southern Vermont, but we are, like it or not, like your neighbor or not, we all kind of know each other. It is kind of small knit community, up and down the 91.
Don't forget the
corridor,
Berkshires,
and
bud.
everybody kind of is like, sorry, I'm 90, 91, like everything west.
A little perpendicular junction.
I was
Yeah.
more thinking like 91 over, not quarter. Anyways, so we need to hear each other tell our stories, and you know, yeah, it was 15 of you, but 15 of you stood up to a corporation.
Heck yeah, it's awesome. It's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't got that at my job right now. So you know, what are you gonna do?
Unionize.
Yeah, I mean, I would love. Don't get me wrong. I've said some stuff, but
Yeah.
you know, no appetite. So that's kind of why Joanne and I do this podcast. It's like we need to, whether you read books, some people don't read books, some people listen to stuff, some people watch videos. So people are out there learning on TikTok. You're reading books, they're reading books, they're reading internet archives and going to the library. And here, you know, I learn through audio stuff, so why not give this a try? But we need your stories. So thank you so much for sharing that, so we can get the word out, because we need to, like, again, we're just one little sprinkler in their fucking fire hose. So
Getting the word out on the weed out.
I'll get word on.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
great
you.
slogan. Word out on the weed out. Hell yeah. Yeah.
you're on the creative board.
You are.
Officially.
You are. You're for life.
Barnes Noble Hadley social media takes.
I'll add it to my resume.
Yeah.
Can I use it as a reference?
Yeah, just give me a heads up before they call.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. It was wonderful being back on.
Yes, take care. It was a pleasure, like before.
And we'll hope to talk to you again soon.
Solidarity to the rest of your we got to remember them folk too. So give them a shout out for us.
We will. We'll send the love along.
Yes, tell everyone congratulations and solidarity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Invite to any of them if they want to tell their story.
Gotcha.
Take care. All right, so they were lovely as always.
You know, like I said, I would work with them. They're just so, the sharing of knowledge, which you said, like that is something that we find important. It seems so at the forefront for them.
Literally.
But I also mean, just like, okay, they're already working so hard on forming the union, getting, like, you know, it is, like I said, it's a lot of work, but they're still really open to helping others do the same thing, or like we are very similarly willing to do that, but not everyone is. So I think they're a beautiful group of people. They seem like they understand how to balance, joy with the harder parts of things. And we've talked about that in our last episode, like how to find joy. And they told us, like cute things, like we've mentioned, small treats, fun time with friends. And sometimes you need more than that, but I just think it's a beautiful story. And in Hadley and in Western Mass in general, I think, and I know you'll probably agree with me, Spencer, like it's wonderful to see it's not just one store, it's multiple stores, and it's groups of people. Like Lady Killaroo this is another previous episode that I can link to when we post about this, but everyone's usually in these smaller teams. It's typically because they're very, tight knit crews, and they end up talking about, okay, well, I don't like these conditions. And in many jobs, we're not set to be able to talk to our coworkers about things, or like form these potential relationships, even where you could maybe get to that point to be friends, even. So I just, like I said, I just love speaking with them. I'm so hopeful for them, and their joy is contagious. It really is.
You were saying like they're so generous and with their time and their thoughts, like even just throwing us an idea. They're not gatekeepers, and we here at the Weed Out are not gatekeepers either. That's why it's important to tell these people's stories. And maybe it's not always the sexiest, salacious stuff. Mass Live like basically harassed them from what we could tell, and asked them really unimportant questions, and really showed up at the last minute as opposed to other entities like Dusty Christensen from uh, excuse me, from the Shoestring, or reporting for the Shoestring, excuse me, and us and amongst other local journalists that spoke to them in a reasonable amount of time before the day. And basically, like from what I read on their articles, from their tweets and all that stuff, they basically ambushed them. And it's not shocking, and I'm transitioning obviously to ghoulery and tomfoolery with none other than Mass Live.
Shocking. The corporate media. Your corporate media.
Legacy media, why I guess they're not legacy, they're corporate media. They're trying to push clicks at best. Like, let's just remember that. Like, we don't necessarily have to think there's ulterior motives here. It could just be profit motive. Always goes for the easiest, cheapest, quickest.
Well, yeah, that's why their like feeds suck like on social media so bad, because they're probably using a bot or like Hootsuite or something to just generate like nonsense stories.
Yeah, like
literally.
Ironically, like when we have a trans groomer panic, I'll call it, because it's not just about trans, it's about anybody that's not cis normative. That's what's happening. We're going through a queer panic currently, and trans people seem to be bearing the brunt of that. And we talk about this on the Weed Up because this affects working class people, because unions can help empower people that are already marginalized.
We also talk about it because you should not be panicking about queer people. Like, if that is what you are panicking about and you've stumbled onto this podcast, please, you need that. No, you need help. That is just a sick place to be if that's what's happening.
Mass Live is my weird, like, we're so obsessed with this, but yet Mass Live does a whole week of teenage girls in prom dresses.
Yeah, weird. But I never thought about it. It is odd to me now that they do the local coverage and take photos of us. I remember now in high school they did it in my hometown too. Like, I think that's weird now that I think back, because we were like potentially under 18.
I want to talk about grooming.
That's weird. You don't sometimes think about like the things when you're a kid until you're like older, and then you think back and you're like, oh, that is weird. Because it's kind of cool to get to be in the paper, and like on prom you look like, for a girl anyway, you may spend a good chunk of money on your dress and getting your hair did and all that. So like, I just feel like it's kind of predatory for the children.
It just makes sense with their business.
Yeah, it's just gross though. I was thinking about it and I definitely don't like it.
Everything's built for the male gaze, we'll say, and the unhealthy male gaze, not male baseline, the unhealthy male gaze, where it's a youth in body and coding, God forbid a girl wear, I don't know, pants. I'm being really blunt there, but like just not coding. Think about like a tomboy. Like, why can't they just dress that way? Like, why do you have to specify? Anyways, that's just from our childhood, right? Tomboy. I don't know if Gen Z had to do tomboy stuff, because they generally seem a little more open and have the language for gender non-conforming roles. So here at the Weed Out, we're allies. We see y'all. You're real, and that's just and the reason I bring this up, and it's tied to Mass Live, because They just treat all these things as rage bait or imperial propaganda. I call it imperial propaganda because it's not actually about, you know, the people. It's about people dying for a cause that they didn't actually die for. And this is something like Memorial Day that just passed, right? And 4th of July in the future. And just so everybody knows, May is like Veteran Awareness Month, or I don't know. They have a whole month.
Which, I mean, veterans do go through horrible things because of war.
No
I
issue.
like no hate to the people that are going through shit because of the military industrial complex, but burn that shit down.
Or coerced on a lie.
Most people were coerced, yes.
Most of it is like 99% of it is coercion. And it's because you're poor and you need a role and you want to maybe go to school and they tempt you with things like the GI Bill. But when you get out, navigating those systems are fucking impossible. They have awful healthcare, people on the streets, their homelessness, their suicide rate. So the reason we're bringing all this up is because Mass Live had a feature with our favorite mayor, Mayor Garcia of Holyoke. Holyoke commemorates Memorial Day with push-up challenges to raise awareness of veterans' suicide rate. First of all, I'm really confused why we do this shit every year. If people's awareness is not up about veteran suicide rate, it's only been in the history of warfare. We've been dealing with homeless veterans in America as long as there's been veterans.
This story is just laughable to me only because of the soldiers' home incident, like with COVID. And I'm just like, not that it's funny at all, but I'm just like, come on, don't play like you care about the friggin' veterans. Like, what did you do to those people in the soldiers' home?
And just using, because Memorial Day is a somber day, right? Like it really is. Of all the military holidays, and Joanna admittedly didn't remember the specificity on what Memorial Day was about.
I was so happy with myself personally. Thought it was memorializing summer for a few minutes, and then I realized I just tricked myself into that. And then I know actually what it is, but like it's no, like you said, no hate to veterans, but like war is literally like the antithesis of who I like. No, thank you.
It wasn't the veterans' choice to go to war. Like it just wasn't.
Most people I know were coerced. I had recruiters calling me at home, and I would say things to them like, "Are you kidding?" Like I would keep them on the phone, just hoping that was talking to me. Like they would get sick and like stop calling kids.
Yeah, and I guess they're all there's a lot of propaganda pieces out there right now about their recruitment is down. They say that shit all the time. Good.
Yeah,
Don't scare us. Don't
exactly. We're safe. We don't need more of you.
Mass Live and literally every publication.
Oh yeah.
Remember, when you see all this fluff on Memorial Day, they're using people's deaths as manufactured consent for future.
Exactly. That's part of why I don't like it and I stick offline so I didn't remember because it's disgusting.
Like that's dark shit.
It's so dark.
And the darkness, the even darkest part about it is the built-in defense of, oh, you don't care about their sacrifice. Well, I don't think they got sacrificed. I think they got fucking slaughtered.
Same. I don't think they should have to sacrifice themselves. That sounds like something we would look down on, like as like being a barbaric type of culture to phrase something that way. I think it's a fucked way of thinking.
And by the way, from what I can recognize in American history, I'll just stick to American history because I grew up here. From what I can tell, there has been no just war. It's all been in the name of capital. Other than the Civil War, there was a just reason, but guess what it was over? Humans being capital. So it was over capital ultimately. So there's been no just real war. The fact that we had to fight our own, I don't believe in borders. So like whatever. I don't like hold much reverence and like, oh, white man versus white man, boo hoo. But like they killed a shit ton of native people and black people to do that up to and including. And ultimately black Americans were what gave us Memorial Day, and it's turned into car commercials and these puff pieces by an embattled mayor. I'm going to call him an embattled mayor. Like he has shown his cowardice with not dealing to the police. We're not the only people in Holyoke. This is like a thing. Like everybody knows whoever's sitting in that chief office, doesn't matter if it's Pratt or whoever's had it in the past or will have it in the future, they run this motherfucking thing.
He's one term, hopefully, at this point. I think he will be. That is not how it should be, though. And the next mayor, if they really care about transition or transparency and ethics, like it's ridiculous. And I know you agree with me, but more and more people in every town across Western Mass, because we know and try to connect with them, are sick of this, are sick of the police controlling their towns. I'm hopeful.
We're using dead veterans.
I mean, that's gross. That's the thing.
This is done on municipal property. Let's remind everybody what the headline is. Holyoke commemorates Memorial Day with push-up challenges, raises awareness of veteran suicide rate. 2012, the Department of Veteran Affairs conducted a comprehensive study on suicides among veterans, which cited the troubling figure of 22 deaths daily.
Wait, so this is the citation in the article, not to stop you right away. It's from 2012. That alone is just embarrassing.
Red flag too. Like it's over 10 years.
So long ago, exactly. Like it's totally changed. Not to say it's not high. I'm not saying anything about veterans. It's just poor citation when you're talking about something, you're raising awareness and you're using over 10-year-old data. That's ridiculous.
So it's likely worse. All those issues have been exacerbated since COVID. So
Yeah, like it actually could be much worse.
I just want to remind everybody to not want to overtly celebrate or make a big deal about Memorial Day, 4th of July. Just like, no, it's like you're not mad at the people that got coerced, and remind people that scoff at you for not being super pro 4th of July or whatever, right? Just be like, hey, man, I got no beef with the people that got coerced, which is all the rank and file in the military, and you know, the contractors, the people fucking the CEOs building the bombs, fuck those motherfuckers. Like they got a bunch of people killed. And for what? To siphon off tax dollars based on fear, to go steal capital for other billionaire ghouls. And like we're going through this right now. Like it's the same fucking thing over and over again. It's just rebranded. And that's why books are important. That's why talking is important. That's why listening is important. Joanna and I did not come up with any of this stuff on our own at all. We just are very hyper focused and interested and have a sense of justice in this particular issue. We have sense of justice in a lot of issues.
I was going to say, overall, we kind of do.
Yeah, but this one is one where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
direct state sanctioned violence is the first no. That should always be number one in the fucking that's the no list. Don't one, get your hands off.
Yes. I will say the only war I would justify, I just want to give our indigenous, I don't even know if they'd like me calling them my brothers and sisters, but the indigenous peoples fighting back against the Europeans. I wouldn't want to discount that as being something that I would be against because we were trying to take their land. For them, I like understand why they would fight us in that case specifically. No.
And without the Native American contribution, with World War II might have gone on longer. They were part of the code breakers and code writers, and they voluntarily joined the war. Like these tribes of people, they sent their people to do this, and they've done that over and over again. And to this day, we are breaking treaties. We are breaking agreements every fucking day. Indigenous women going missing is like one of the most underreported things in this country. We don't even give a shit about those issues for them. We're always taking shit from them and then moving them somewhere else. Like this is going on currently as we speak. There's court cases in front of the Supreme Court about the Indian Child Welfare Act.
Oh, yeah, that's bad, actually.
Yeah, we should probably have an episode about this.
Yeah, we'll have to wait till it comes out and people can look it up. It could take us a long time to talk about, but hopefully because some of the judges who are conservative actually, Gorsuch apparently would vote for native right, or indigenous people's rights. But it's scary because the bill the act as I understand it, currently keeps indigenous children within their tribe. Is that correct?
I got school on this, so.
But I just want to let people know they can look it up. And I think if it were overturned, it could mean that the babies were then not necessarily kept within the tribes they were born from. But I will share a link to information about this because it's something we should talk about further in the future. It's just a lot.
They're the original victims of capitalism and colonialism on this.
Absolutely.
And this is the point, people. This is why I was saying earlier, people in the audience, I was saying earlier about it's just the same bullshit rebranding, right? Once they ran out of Native Americans to stomp on, they found others, and then they find others, and they stomp on them and stomp on them and stomp on them, and always women. The darker your skin or the more indigenous you are, the worse. Women are always getting the brunt, or at least perceived women, not obviously trans folk. Places like Mass Live, the way they even frame their headlines about drag shows and stuff, it's baiting And the reason I keep bringing it back to Mass Live is because these people will literally use dead victims of capitalism war to help out an embattled mayor. Why?
It's gross. And also, shout out to the audience if you do celebrate holidays in a different way. Like, I basically forgot what it was for because to me, it just like commemorates the beginning of summer. I get to get with my friends, be outside more. Holidays that are created to just basically make us like feel nostalgic about like the death of people who died in a war. It's like using them as props to make us okay with it in the future. I've kind of always had an issue with those holidays.
As have I.
Yeah.
I had not connected all the dots until later in my life. And what can I say? I'm an immature guy. I'm just getting to, high school maturity now. So maybe in 10, 15 years, I'll have it even more figured out.
What's your current mental age? I was trying to figure mine out the other day.
18s probably.
I can't figure out.
I don't know.
I feel like it's either like 13 or like 25, but I can't tell for sure.
Definitely not considered a sage old soul. And that's okay with me. I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I'm not an old soul either. That's fair. I'm okay with it too.
But I respect the ones that come across that way. And again, so like all this seems unrelated, but it's all related. It's all class struggle. All right. It's class struggle. There's no war but class warfare, folks.
Pew pew pew.
It takes many fronts. Sometimes it's internet. Sometimes it's kinetic warfare with guns. Sometimes it's just fucking bombs. Sometimes it's fucked up shit that we don't want to happen anymore. So we need to stop being divided amongst ourselves. And remember, there's a lot of us, a few of them. Treat everybody with empathy and love. That's what you should be remembering on these holidays. Treat everybody with empathy and love and care for your community and care that your community isn't disrespecting another community. And you're working in symbiosis, then you won't have to have any more dead fucking soldiers. Remember them by not sending any more to die. If you do want to celebrate it, I mean, maybe reframe it, turn it on its head a little bit.
I do that with almost all the holidays because after leaving the evangelical church, I don't know, I never like holidays. We're always so like, it's not that my parents did anything wrong or they weren't trying to make them nice, but it was like, I don't know, there's a darkness to every holiday in some ways. My dad point out how most holidays are actually, like you've said, and we've talked about a lot, made into just like a capitalist tool to get us to like do things, buy things, or be okay with something. Even though I was already in like a kind of culty church, my father would point out stuff like that.
He was okay with his little community cult.
Yes, he was.
Not like being part of a large cult. And
for a while, but he didn't like the big one. Yeah,
dogma in general scary.
It's just interesting.
Questioning us too. If you ever think like, oh, that guy, the weed out man, they're unstoppable. They're always got high.
No, people definitely question us. I would feel like.
Oh, tell us for kids, please. I would love to, love a little pushback because I like to think I'm thinking things through, but maybe there is an angle I don't see because I see the world from my eye level. Like I don't have different perspectives. So feedback is important. It's welcomed. Don't be don't be surprised if there's feedback back, but hopefully it's productive.
I mean, of course, there are angles that all of us cannot see from. That's all I'm going to say on that matter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just like anything else, remember, like 9/11, never forget that we created these situations and trained the people that then did a major act of violence, and then that could turn into propaganda to give up your surveillance rights and your privacy rights. So, like, never forget 9/11. We created the scenarios in the Middle East and armed those people to come attack us because.
Well, and never forget we allowed the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act expired and then they put it back into play.
That's the thing. It's like it must come back out again, right?
Who knows if I don't remember. We'd have to look if it's like in perpetuity now, or who knows how dark they went with it this time.
Abolish the USA. I don't.
That's our 4th of July theme usually.
I want to be reminded that I don't ever want to, every 4th of July, I go, you know what I don't want to be like? Any of the people that founded this country. I want to do whatever they did and do the opposite.
Yeah, they're wigs and teeth alone. I'm
not going to own people and then use their body parts when mine failed.
No. And I will not use their the Constitution and the fact that we can't, everyone knows that I go on this rant. The fact that we can't edit documents that are that old is absurd. Like anyone telling us that anywhere is wrong. I don't care if it's the Supreme Court, Joe Biden, whoever thinks like it's the Pope. I don't care. If they think we can't like edit a document that like conducts how we act with each other based on times changing, Like we amend it.
You have policy people that are know how to write policy, and they can duke it out about what the values are. Like things will come down to discussion. It's not. I'm not saying, I don't think you and I have a constitution we would like to. I mean, I probably have my ideas what I would like.
I would throw it out. I would throw the current one out.
No, absolutely. But like you and I, like we also aren't going to come to the table with ours, like ours or nothing. Like
No, it's like negotiating with the union. It would have to be a community-based process. It would it would be different than how society is now, and that's hard for people. I think change is hard in general, and that's hard for some people. I think to conceptualize for like a future. But if you look at how even how our guest Izzie and Talia talk about how they enjoy organizing and they hope that will be what, like, if nothing else, if not for them, positive for the people that come after them. I think if we have more and more people like that, and that's what we need, that will create the change that we are all, I think abolitionists especially, are looking for in society. Because like I mentioned when I was talking with them, there's that mindset sometimes of like, oh, I want people to struggle like I did. And I think oftentimes that's what like the right wing side of things it kind of is, just because like, okay, it's like, they call Social Security entitlement, so they don't want to give people SNAP benefits and all of that. And I just think like, I'm so happy that there are people who want to work together as in community to make things better for others, if nothing else. That's just the most hopeful thing.
Yeah, like Voltron, you form your community, and then your communities form communities, right? And one way we do that is a community at work, your workers union, your working crew, and y'all negotiate, make sure everybody's taken care of, and then that extrapolates out, to like even businesses or co-ops, I guess would be, a socialist world, everything would be co-ops, and that's how it'd work out. But regardless, yeah, I mean, it's all about making sure your values are followed and your liberty doesn't infringe on somebody else's liberty. Everybody's got to have a bubble. And I know, like the reactionaries, I guess we'll call them, because the left, right, up, down doesn't really matter. There's always going to be people that may have a good heart, but they don't love the whole idea of like, oh, everybody's got to have a safe space. Yeah, motherfucker. Yes. Everybody has to be guaranteed a safe space. I think that's completely fucking reasonable. Like they're literally a home. Like, why is that so fucking radical to y'all?
Yeah, it's weirdly sick.
And we're the ex-Christians here, make it make sense.
WWJD assholes.
Yeah, if Jesus was real,
he would slap these bitches around. That's what I'm saying. He'd be like taking a dump in like where they vote on stuff in Congress. I'm not even kidding. At this point, he probably would. It's 200, it's been a while since he flipped tables. He might do something colorful like I might.
And I think my number one beef, if he was real, he's not. Sky Daddy. No.
Exactly. I'm just saying.
Down here, we have to say that just so everybody knows, not real. Let's just live in the fantasy world for a second. Sky Daddy.
Yes, he would take a dump in my fantasy world.
His son that he makes into man, which he considers imperfect, yada yada yada. It's a really lovely way to make, really nice way to take care of your son. He seems like a great father. I'm gonna make you imperfect, impossible, even though I have the power not to. Anyways, and he's going to send him down, tempt him with the sins of the world, yada, 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 and then we're going to kill you. But if he ever came back, I'd be like, dude, my number one beef is there is so many motherfuckers walking up to your safe space, your home, the one thing you should have, knocking on the door and asking if they've heard of a man named Jesus Christ, whom they've never met. That should be like in our Constitution. I want to throw this out there. Going to somebody's safe space, aka home, and knocking on the door and trying to solicit religion, they can fuck all the way off.
In my town, and you can't go door to door to solicit, and I effing love it.
I think that should be in the Constitution.
It's in our bylaws of our town, so you can put it in.
It's considered a domicile. You're not allowed to solicit. And number one on that list is fucking religion.
I fucking love it. Literally, if you really want this, get it locally made though in your town. You could put it on the ballot for Holyoke probably if you got enough signatures.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
See?
Just letting people know. Any Miss municipality. When I found it out here, because when I lived in other towns, like you said, like people from like, you know, other cults would stop in like at different places I had lived in the past, like throughout Western Mass. But when I moved here, I wondered why. And then when I went to run for office, I was going to go door to door. And then I read the bylaws. I had read them a lot when I first moved. And it's just like something that they have in place. But it's amazing because you can't, no one bothers you. Like no one comes to your door. It's great. Not even no trick or treating even.
Other cults include
Jehovah Witness and Mormons were the big ones. It's like I said, political stuff. Like I would have gone door to door. That's like a thing that people sometimes do in certain towns. In Northampton, that happened with me and stuff.
well, I that's why I'm just against religious solicitation specifically.
In my town, it's none. It doesn't point any like. So if you wanted to have it passed, I think it would have to be as broad as my town's thing, where like they don't even like trick or treat is now made into like a downtown parade thing, where like kids don't even solicit for candy. I like it personally, but you know me. I'm like, please feel safe knocking on my door, but don't come here with a like a question or to tell me about your religion. If kids came for candy, I would be fine with it. But I like that it also doesn't like, I don't want anyone in a religion to be singled out because of that either. If you find comfort and something keeps you feeling safe, fine. Just don't come to my fucking door and try to make me join you. That's all.
And it's incredibly coercive, and it's like almost like
It's weird. It's about like I'm working or whatever, enjoying my day.
imagine it like a mobster in a neighborhood going up like, "Hey, would you like some protection?"
Of your soul.
Right, exactly. Like how
That's what it's like.
fucking different, and you gotta pay the arbitrary amount that you gotta tithe down the street. This house where God lives, apparently.
It's like, ma'am, this is a Wendy's.
I'm sorry. And again, anybody listening that's religious, I'm not sorry. But
We're not.
also,
We're not.
feel free.
Yeah, if you're not a hater about it, great. Like my boss, I know a lot of people. There are people. My mother's would consider herself still religious or a spiritual person. There are things I would consider about myself that may be spiritual, but I just do not like organized religions that try to coerce you through control, because someday your soul will need them, and it's like, go fuck yourself. That's how I feel about it.
I believe in the cycle of energy. My body turns to dust and nutrients. And the human life is such a small blip on the map of time and ecological systems and evolution. It's like we're such a tiny little blip.
I hope like whatever anyone believes to make them feel comforted and safe is true. But I believe pretty much what you believe, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's kind of beautiful. Like if we are energy and we become energy in another way someday, that's okay. That's okay.
Catching vibes, dude. That's the essence of like, whoa, there's a vibe. But like extrapolate it out for what does a lifetime. Anyways, welcome to the Weed Out, where we weed out the nonsense and the bullshit, and we went from Memorial Day propaganda
We talk about the ghouls.
and we ended up all the way on spirituality. And listen,
True.
we're people that believe in spirituality and the Sky Dad, specifically you Christians. If that's what helps you find your peace and that helps you love and have empathy for others, that's fucking great. I'm so happy for you. And that's your truth. And my truth is Sky Daddy doesn't exist. But I still find the beauty and the energy coming back. Like having the Barnes and Noble people here, their energy is infectious. It makes me want to go, like, it makes me want to edit this episode faster. You know what I mean? It's like I want to get this out. So that's what I mean by energy, and you can let the bad energy, and not to sound like Marianne Williamson, one of these kooky fucking spirituality people, but like energy matters, and also that matters in like with trauma. Like think about what trauma does to people. And capitalism, neo-feudalism, because this is just a rebranding of feudalism. This is trauma for some, and some people get it worse than others, and it's completely fucking it's completely reasonable to struggle. So find your joy, and we work together as a community and share the word. I guess, do you have anything to say before I do the housekeeping, Joanna?
I just want everyone to know, if you support Barnes and Noble in their move for unionizing, please go and follow them on social media. Stop in and show your support like they mentioned. And if you do want to form union or get more information on a union as a worker, please do reach out to them or the national website. I just want to remind the audience about those few things.
Absolutely. And as always, if you want to share a story with us, tell us about your experience if you're doing any of this kind of work or any kind of work or not work. If you want to share with us anything or a place to look or to highlight on the show, always feel free to reach us out at the weedout@gmail.com. Again, all these links will be on our website notes at the weedout, www.theweedout.com. As always, we will post any relevant links for this week's episode. It will be articles written about the election from various places, such as Shoestring, Dusty, and Mass Live, and any other place we've cited throughout this episode. So we will post that on our Substack and our episode notes that will show up on our website. As always, please rate, like, review, all the things everywhere. Go to our social media, interact with us. Let's get us up in the algorithm. Let's get the word out. Tell your friends. If you want to kick us some dough, we have a Patreon set up. If not, that's cool too. Tell your friends. If you want to support local journalism, we recommend places like the Shoestring or Andrew Quamir or Dusty Christensen. I'm sure they have all sorts of things set up in their link trees, etc., whatever. And support us so we can get these stories out for these wonderful things that are happening in our community, and also the things that need accountability. So that's what we do here at the Weed Out. We weed out the nonsense and kick out the bullshit. I just changed the slogan on the fly, but we also got a nice addition. What would she say? Get the word out. Weed
Get
out.
the word out with the weed out. I did like that.
Maybe that's what our segment will be when we have like community notes like that. About the next union could be yours, and you could be sharing your story here with us at the Weed Out. And we are proud with what we've accomplished, and we can do more, and we plan on doing more, but we can't do it without support from the audience. So share your stories. Any support is helpful.
And please show up on June 10th in Pittsfield to the Common Park. It's in downtown Pittsfield to the Solidarity Economy Festival and Gathering. I will share a link. Well, we will share a link, and we will be there. And we mentioned this in the last episode, but please come out. If you can't be there, show support, share it with others. We'll be there. We will be set up asking questions, and we hope to see you. So again, June 10th at the Common Park in Pittsfield, all day. There is an outdoor festival, and I think it will be a really good time.
We look forward to seeing y'all there. Remember, think about what makes you feel safe, or what safety feel means for you. Rather, that's probably a better way to phrase that. What does safety look like or mean for you in your community, and what brings you joy? What gets you through it? And we look forward to hearing from y'all. And hopefully we see you at the Solidarity Festival on June 10th in Pittsfield on the Pittsfield Common. We will be there throughout the day, 9 to 5, and we'll be handing out leaflets for the show and talking about stuff in the community. We're really looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good time. Obviously, the star of Pittsfield, Michael Hitchcock, will be there. You can meet the man, the myth, the legend. Likely, he'll be bopping around, I'm sure. And I look forward to getting to hang out with him. I'm very happy to continue to do this show. So thank everybody for listening. Feel free to reach out to us, theweedout@gmail.com, or go to our website, www.theweedout.com. Joanna, it was lovely chatting with you and our friends from Barnes & Noble Hadley today. And it's always great getting philosophical with you and the Ghoulery and Tomfoolery. So thank you so much.
Thank you too. I also had a wonderful time. It's always lovely chatting with you. And like you said before, the group from Hadley is Barnes & Noble is just so joyful.
That's all we can. That's the little things. And hope you all enjoyed the story, and we look forward to hearing from you next time.
Take care.